So I'm not really sure how this is going to go. It's a difficult topic. If you have no interest in the nature of existence, then switch off now and watch football or something. Right. Spinoza spends a large part of his ethics, particularly in part 2, telling us that what we perceive is basically all fucked up. So he goes to great lengths to demonstrate how our perception of external reality, and of course it's not really external reality because it's created by our minds, but anyway, our perception of external reality is really more a perception of how that reality is impacting on our body. So the light waves hitting our eyes and sounds hitting our ears, and then our brain creates a model. That's the way we think about it anyway. I'm not going to go into all the idealism of that or whatever. I'm really just going to talk about Spinoza's ideas because he makes a really important point. So anyway, part 2, he spends a lot of time telling us that we perceive external objects according to how they impact upon our body. We don't really perceive them, we perceive how our body has changed. And actually the same with our body. We don't really perceive our body directly. We perceive it through our senses, the sense of touch and sight and smell and sound. And that's the way we know our own body. But we don't really know it in itself. So for example, you have no idea how your digestive system works, or how your liver works, or actually how your nervous system works. You just don't know that stuff because it's not providing you with any kind of sensory input to try and judge how it's working, unless it goes wrong, of course, and then maybe you get some pain. But typically we don't know how our body operates. And then, so that's external things, our own body, and then he goes on to say we actually don't know how our minds work. So it's well understood, and in fact Gurdjieff said that our real consciousness is our subconsciousness. And subconsciousness is massive compared with our ordinary everyday consciousness. The subconscious looks after everything from your heartbeat through to your becoming hungry, through to your sex drive, through to all the drives that you have sort of originate in your subconscious. And that's really the thing that's driving you. What goes on in your head during the day is kind of hearsay. It's really just a whole pile of thought based on faulty perceptions in the main. But again, I'm not going to go into all of that. So Spinoza spends, I think, probably something like 40 propositions in part 2 of his Ethics, explaining that we don't perceive the external stuff. We don't really perceive our own bodies. We don't really perceive our own minds. We don't know what these things are. And you get to proposition 46, and it all sounds fairly desperate, because he's basically saying we haven't got a fucking handle on reality. We don't know what reality is, because we are locked away inside our own sensory system that is essentially a very tight little filter on what is really happening in the world. We don't understand our subconscious, don't understand our bodies, we don't understand the external world, we don't perceive them as they are. As if we could do that, but we don't. And then you come to proposition 47, which is shown on the slide. And I used to read this proposition and think, what the hell is he talking about? And then one day I read 3 words in that proposition, and it all made sense. Now let me go to part 1 of the Ethics. In fact, the very, very beginning of part 1 of the Ethics. If I can find it, just flicking through the book now. Yeah, here we go. Spinoza says, by that which is self-caused. Now, there's a novel idea. I mean that of which the essence involves existence. He's talking about God here, or the word that we would use. That word that we would use to explain everything. So by that which is self-caused, I mean that of which the essence involves existence. The essence of it involves existence. It doesn't exist unless it's existing. A kind of obvious statement, but the essence involves existence. Or that of which the nature is only conceivable as existent. So existence is a big deal for Spinoza. And in fact, to a large extent, in the Ethics you can replace the word God, and he uses the word God a lot, much to everybody's annoyance. But you can replace the word God by the word existence. So, this proposition 47. The human mind has an adequate knowledge of the eternal and infinite essence of God. And I used to read that, and you know, it used to sound like medieval Christian crackpots sort of talking about God. You know, God is the great, the good, the magnificent, and so on and so forth, and quite annoying stuff really. Anyway, the human mind has an adequate knowledge of the eternal and infinite essence of God. Well, mine doesn't. And possibly yours doesn't, or at least maybe that's the way you think. And then you read the next bit, and the light bulbs come on. And you have to remember that for a large part of the ethics up to this point, in part 2 particularly, he's basically been saying that we know fuck all, because all our ideas and perceptions are all screwed up. Because we're finite little creatures trying to perceive infinity, and it doesn't work, so we have to filter it all. So he says the human mind has ideas from which it perceives itself. So our mind has ideas about itself. Maybe you think you are kind, or maybe, whatever it is you think about yourself. So ideas about the mind. Human mind has ideas from which it perceives itself, its own body. So, I'm tall, I'm whatever, a man. So ideas about the body and external bodies. So all these things that he's been talking about so far, external bodies, our own body, our minds, the fact that we don't know them. He's saying we have ideas about these things. And then 3 words that change everything. As actually existing. Those are the 3 words. Back to this existence thing again. So what he's saying is that the fact that our perceptions are all screwed up actually doesn't really matter. Take LSD if you want. Smoke some peyote or whatever they do with peyote. It doesn't matter. Whatever you perceive, you will perceive as existing. So the fact that we are cognizant of our own self-made little world, the world that is being created through our senses and our ideas and so on, it doesn't matter that it's a poor representation of reality. All that matters is that you perceive things, ideas, external things, your own body, as actually existing. Existence is a thing. Now a lot of people don't get this. They can't see that suddenly realizing, oh shit, yeah, my body exists, all this stuff exists, is a really big deal to realize that. It's a bit like Ouspensky in the Gurdjieff tradition, who said that he would say to people, there's this idea of self-remembering. And a lot of people would say, oh, I remember myself all day. So, they're totally unconscious of their state. Well, the same with the thing of existence. You can kind of switch on a recognition of, oh shit, yeah, this and everything else exists. There is existence instead of nothing. And you can switch that on. So let me just read that again. The human mind has an adequate knowledge of the eternal and infinite essence of God. Well, what is the eternal and infinite essence of God? It is existence. All you have to do to cognize the eternal and infinite essence of God is switch on to an awareness of existence. It's not actually the things existing that is important. It's actually the experience of existence. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at the most beautiful vista in the Himalayas or looking out of an office window at a brick wall. It really doesn't matter. It's just a recognition of existence, the existence of whatever it is you're perceiving, and actually not even perceiving, because Spinoza is very specific. He's saying it's the ideas of things that we are acknowledging the existence of. So the human mind has ideas from which it perceives itself and its own body and external bodies as actually existing. Therefore it has an adequate knowledge of the eternal and infinite essence of God. The eternal and infinite essence of God is existence. Easy. Nothing is hidden. And Spinoza goes on in this proposition, and I'm not going to go there, but he goes on to say that this knowledge, this direct perception of reality, if you like, is the foundation for what he calls his third kind of knowledge. The first kind of knowledge is hearsay and experience. Well, you can experience a dog biting your leg, and thereafter you think that all dogs bite legs. Of course they don't, but experience is misleading. Hearsay is misleading, fake news, as Mr. Trump would like to call it. And then we have reasoning, which is the second level of knowledge. Reasoning is useful, but it's not completely foolproof. But the third kind of knowledge, which Spinoza calls intuition, and you have to remember they use the word intuition in a different sense in his day. And intuition was really more a direct perception. Kant uses the word intuition to mean a representation of something. So it's a direct experience of something. Anyway, Spinoza uses the word intuition for his third kind of knowledge. And he says that this realization of the eternal and infinite essence of God, i.e. you just have to switch on to, oh shit, yes, I exist, and stuff exists, and my mind exists. You just have to switch on to that. In the Gurdjieff tradition, that would be very close to the idea of self-remembering. So nothing hidden. It's all kind of obvious. The difficulty, of course, is that people hear this, and it's kind of boring. Oh well, if they want excitement, then go watch the football or play the lottery or something. Go to Las Vegas. So nothing hidden. So you have no excuses.